I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by my co-host with Harrison Bader like hair.
Yeah, it's a weird ordeal. Katie is just proving to be childish.
Which is why I don't feel I would give $5 million to Jack Campbell.
I don't know. Baseball is one of those sports where anyone who makes the playoffs really can be a contender.
I think the Padres definitely do it.
I don't think Donovan Mitchell gets traded.
Kyrie Irving does have the track record of not being a great locker room fit, or even good locker room fit.
Bader got some luscious locks. I gotta say it.
This is Zach Bigley, the broadcaster for the Frisco Rough Riders, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin. You guys better subscribe.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NHL Opinions of the Week. I'm joined by the man that has feelings toward this and is reluctantly doing this episode given just the Olympics and NHL relationship over the years.
I think that other than maybe the World Cup for soccer, is the NHL being at the Olympics is like, it's really close between those two of my favorite sports. I'd still say probably Olympic hockey because of what it means to the U.S. It means a lot more because we're good at it versus soccer where we're good but not great, so we don't really compete for an actual title. But I went to an Olympics. I've seen the U.S. play in an Olympics back in Vancouver 2010, and I still remember that. I have great memories from it, and the fact that the NHL may not send their players to the Olympics this year, it angers me. Now, will they? I've had this belief for a while, Kevin. I know I've said this off air and on air, I believe, but I have to see it to believe it. So until they're on the ice, I'm going to say no.
Okay, I'm going to say I think it happens. This is just kind of them worried about the rink size with the Olympic and just kind of reporting that. And I think it's hard given how they're making the schedule so small this year, just kind of them going away from the Olympics. I can understand before the year started of them doing that, but I also think when you think about the Four Nations and just kind of the energy that the players brought by playing for their national team is something to capitalize from the NHL, because you saw how successful the Four Nations was when you had Canada and America playing with their best players. So that brought huge attention to hockey, which is a great sport, but it does not get as much attention in other areas like the NBA, of course, the NFL. It kind of competes with the MLB. So that is something to where I think that would draw more rights of just kind of possibly pumping more money into the NHL. So I see them doing their best to make it work, and I do believe it happens.
Yeah, I get that, but in the Four Nations, the NHL directly benefited from that monetarily as well. So that's not how really the Olympics works. Obviously, the IOCC is the one who will directly be of gain from that. So I still have concerns about it. It seemed like it was a foregone conclusion for a while, and then I get a report a week ago that the NHL doesn't know if they're going to send their players, and only if the ice is perfect. I'm like, this is a ice rink. This should be able to be fixed extremely quickly. The fact that they even have to mention it, they're trying to give themselves an out to not have to send their players, in my opinion. If there's any reason at all for them not to be able to send their players, they will find it and use it to, again, not send them so that there's not a major injury, and also they can just have a break for the players so that they're healthy enough when they come back.
I see your argument with that, and I do think, yes, they are not making money from it, but I do think there is a secondary effect, as I mentioned, with kind of having players, getting to know players, because people watch the Olympics, and maybe just hockey comes on. Maybe they're really focused on a different event, and then hockey comes up, they see the promotion for it, and they're like, oh, I want to see this player. It's a Dallas Star or Boston Bruin. So I do think the NHL gets a secondary effect of just kind of having notable names out there and competing at a high level because it is the best players on the best players.
Yeah. And there's a lot more passion, I think, in the Olympics. I think that's a known fact. Playing for your nation is something that not many players get able to do, and you're only able to do it every 4 years at a world level. Sure, there's the World Championships and stuff like that, but those don't feel the same as the Olympics. The Olympics are synonymous with American sports. I mean, the 1980 Olympic U.S. hockey team is still remembered. Miracle on Ice. That still gets played, and people who've never played hockey or watched hockey before still know of that event happening. So the importance of the Olympics cannot be understated. But I just hope that the NHL gets over themselves a bit and will end up sending their players no matter what. This is not a player decision. It's the NHL decision. And I'm not going to be blaming any players. The players want to go. They've wanted to go since 2018, and they haven't been able to. So, or I guess since 2014 they haven't been able to, even though they played in 2014 in Sochi. But in 2018 and 2022, they were not able to go. Whether or not it happens this year, I don't know. I'm optimistic, but at the same time, I know how close we've been previously. And like I said, unless I see them on the ice competing for Olympic medals, I'm not going to be sold completely on the idea that they're going.
As you mentioned before with the Miracle on Ice, yeah, it's become a pop culture thing. There was a movie about it. And I'm going to hold the optimism of I do think it happens. I know you've seen it a lot. I do believe this year is different. And I am curious if it kind of gets there. What do players say about participating and not being able to participate in these sports for 3 Olympics if they were to miss this one?
You're saying, would they ever
Like, how
return
would
to
Crosby? How would Crosby, McDavid, kind of what would they do? Because you got to think about Crosby. If he's not competing, yes, that's what kind of fueled 4 nations, but competing in the Olympics is different than 4 nations. It means for your country. Crosby, who's getting older, how is he going to react to be, I haven't been able to play in the past 3. This would be the 3rd one I miss. What does McDavid do? Kind of what leverage can the players use to get that? If you're the NHL, you don't want to mess with that.
True, but at the same time, if the NHL says no, then they say no. Like, they don't have as much power. I mean, the money aspect is always in favor of the league and not the players, right? So they're the ones that have the power, and while you don't want to make Crosby mad doesn't make fans not show up for their next game, right? They're not going to not come to watch Crosby play. This is one of the last Crosby seasons. Well, I don't think it's his last. We don't know how many more he has, right? So getting as much Crosby as possible is an important thing for all the fans of a lot of organizations to watch him play whenever they come to their hometown. So the NHL has a lot of power in this dynamic, and again, I think they're looking for any way to avoid going to the Olympics if possible, because they would benefit. Again, maybe they would have a 4 nations if they don't go, but at the same time, the NHL would directly benefit from that. And the 4 nations, I don't think, is as good, even close. Even though the last 4 nations, the tournament was amazing. It's just not as good as the real deal. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's just a great substitute for it, as they haven't gotten it the past 2 Olympics. But the Olympics are just a fantastic sport because you are playing for the country and it's great national pride. And I hope we get to see NHL players do it. I do believe we'll have that happen. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.